Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Friday, the 17th of January. Continuing to follow Jesus' story from the eyes of Matthew in his Gospel, we read chapter 17 today. In verse 24, we're told, after Jesus and the disciples arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma temple tax came to Peter and asked, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes, he does," he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. "What do you think, Simon?" he asked. "From whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their own children or from others?" "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children are exempt," Jesus said to him. "But so that we may not cause offence, go to the lake and throw in your line. Take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you'll find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." And as I read that, there were 2 things that stood out. The one here, Jesus says to Peter, "Do the children of kings pay tax?" And Peter says no. The implication of what Jesus is saying is that he oughtn't to pay this temple tax because he's God's son. He's part of the family, therefore he shouldn't be paying tax. Another subtle claim that Jesus makes to his status as the Son of God. But then in verse 27 he says, "But so that we may not cause offense, go and catch a fish and pay the tax," which is what Peter did. But just that he's saying, so that we do not cause offense. Now, Jesus wasn't a person that walked around on eggshells so as not to cause offense. He was constantly causing offense. And the one time he said something about the Pharisees and the Sadducees, said, "Oh, don't you realize you offend us as well?" And Jesus said, "Well, haven't you read?" And he didn't shy away from offending people. And it got me thinking, why in this case was he not wanting to cause offense? And as I thought it through, as far as I can make out, and I'll have to go and read much further about this, when it came to issues of theology and worship and issues around the truth and the gospel, he was happy to cause offense. Where the Pharisees were imposing a very restrictive view of what the law was, he was happy to cause offense. Healing on the Sabbath, he is happy to cause offense. Here, where it's an issue around paying taxes, that's not a theological issue in this instance. And therefore he says, let's not cause offense unnecessarily. And for me, it's a challenge as Christians that to have the wisdom to know where we stand true, irrespective of whether we offend people, we stand for the truth. But at the same time, have the wisdom to know when we can be flexible and avoid causing offense, because that's not what we're about. We don't just walk around being offensive. And Jesus did both. And we need to pray, Lord, give us the wisdom that we will be inoffensive when we can, but strong and offensive if necessary when we need to be. Not an easy thing, but probably a necessary thing. Be blessed.